Hey, and just like that, we get another classic.
We doing everything they talk about. You know I'm everything a boss about. Not putting work and gotta toss them.
We. Hey, you get what I'm putting down. We get another classic here in the European League of Football Athletes Farm podcast. I'm here to give you that instant reaction for the Surge Paris game that, in my opinion, was a good game. Now, in today's world, we all like high scoring games, and I get it. But as a former defensive player, I love I'll take a 6-0 game every once in a while too, right? So that's the game we got. Paris pulls off the win, right? At home, a much needed win. And defense won today. Jack Del Rio, Coach Brenner, Coach Cody Passerino, the D coordinators, they won today. Offense, on the other hand, was a different story, but that credits and that states, you know, the brilliance of the defensive minds that we have, in this game, right? So Paris won. How did they win? Surge, unfortunately take the L. What happened? Let's dive into it. Let's start with the Surge. So in the Surge and the Jordan Newman era, they played in a lot of historic Surge classic games. You think about, unfortunately, the Helvetic loss. At the time, a loss to the Guards, one of the biggest upsets in ELF history. On the other hand, you think about the 6-3 win versus the Tyrol Raiders, or unfortunately the loss to the Munich Ravens, right? Or even you think about the win they get against the Vikings in the semifinals, or the loss against the Fire, right? Where am I going with this? This game falls into that category, and it fits a little bit of both. You get a 6-0 loss to Paris, right? But how you lose was similar to the loss that you had versus the Munich Ravens a couple years ago. Paris was just more physical today. If I'm being perfectly honest with you, I think they had about 4 sacks in the first half alone, right? And then another one, in the second half. And the Surge offense really couldn't get going, really couldn't get in the rhythm. The run game was stopped. They started taking advantage of the heavy pressure from Paris with a couple of the screen games, but they couldn't finish drives. They couldn't get the ball in the end zone. Jeff Cotton, didn't have a good game, or was kind of nowhere to be found in this game. Neither was Louis Geyer. It was kind of Tommy and everyone else at that point. Paris did a good job at keeping the ball in front. Even when they've been it a couple of times, they never broke in regard to defense. Some of the notes here, offense, obviously, Riley Hennessy and the Surge offense just really couldn't get going in this game, right? And it just, not only does it state how Paris defend them, but also, like, this defense is real versus Paris, right? In 2 games, they've given up a total of 17 points in 2 games, right? To the Fire and the Surge. 2 of the top 3 teams everyone has in their top 3 rankings or in the championship game. So when you think about who they did it against, giving up a total of 17 points, an average of, what is that, 8 points something per game. This Surge defense real. This Surge defense is real. As I mentioned before, Surge found momentum in the run game, but ultimately at the end they couldn't pull it out. Even on that last drive, couldn't really find the play to get them over the hump. I thought interior wise, Paris did a good job at bringing pressure. They got there with 4 a lot of times. They made Hennessy step up in the pocket, and then once he stepped up, they collapse. Right? On the back end, DBs did a good job of strapping up, right? You got to give the DB some credit too. DBs did a real good job at strapping up and, playing tight defense on the Surge receivers that, really when you look at like the type of players that the Surge receivers are and what Paris was able to do to them, hey, is the West wide open, right? Is the West wide open? Is it everyone had the Surge winning or coming out, and it still could happen, but it's going to be a lot harder than what people think now. It's going to be a lot harder than people think. On the Paris side, I got defense look sharp. That D-line is for real. Linebackers are fast and physical, right? This defense is fast, physical, and when they see ball, they go get ball. There's no hesitation in their step. DBs look good. Probably the best defensive unit in the 3 years of the Paris history that they've had so far. Defense looks good, right? Offensively, when it comes to Paris, like I said, I think they found their rhythm at the end of that Fire game, but we still didn't see much production. And that's a credit to the Surge defense too. Up front, they played well. They play well. Surge defense is no slouch either. They're the same: fast, physical, see ball, go get ball. Right? How does this Paris offense develop? I want to see more, selfishly, more design runs for Jalen Henderson. I think using the type of athlete he is in space is definitely gonna be it's definitely gonna provide a different dynamic. Also, when this Paris team is healthy, 100% healthy, they're gonna be one of the most dangerous teams. All right. This is why you got to think the guys that they're missing, or the guys that haven't even made an impact. And I talked about this with Wake when we were breaking down Paris coming into this game. But you got LaRose, you got Now Dable, you got Mahungu. Two of them haven't played. One hasn't really gotten going this year in the ELF. Mwama's been great. Austin Mitchell's been great. Hugo's been great. Remy gets the touchdown today, right? Jalen, I thought, played a little better. But when this offense is full and healthy and it gets going, this offense could be dangerous. If Paris could just stay afloat until these guys get back, watch out, because this is going to be a team that has a hard schedule, but could be a team to watch out for, right? Could be a team to watch out for. Two things I want to talk about with Paris, especially on offense. Late in the fourth quarter, it was still a 6-0 game at that point, right? It was still a 6-0 game. And it was about the 7-minute mark. In my head, I'm like, you gotta score. You gotta score. You haven't scored all game. You gotta leave time on the clock for the Surge to score. You gotta score on this drive. And we get a good run by Cantor, inside zone. Good run by Cantor, cut back. We get a drop pass. It was an RPO slant. Raheem Wilson does a good job breaking it up. We get a sack, and that's the end of that drive. Right? They get the ball again. Right? They get the ball again. The defense does a good job of getting a stop against the Surge. They get the ball again. I forgot the time on it, but they get all the way down to field goal range, and it gets blocked. And that leaves about 2 minutes left on the clock for the Surge to drive. Thank God for their defense. They didn't allow the Surge to score, because all the Surge needed was a touchdown. And obviously, with field goals these days, that's not guaranteed. But I want to see Paris offense take advantage of those opportunities. You had 2 opportunities to make this a 2-possession game, and you didn't get it done. Late in the game, right? There's other possessions throughout the game, but late in the game, you had 2 opportunities, right? You got to get in field goal range, and you got to block. You got to block to at least get the field goal off. So we'll see. Surge take the L. Paris gets a much-needed win, and it's just getting interesting. It's just getting interesting in the European League of Football now with how these games are coming along together. Week 2 has been awesome, and I'm excited to keep talking about it. Tune in for Tuesday. We got power rankings. I'm in a dilemma right now with the West. I'm not going to tell you. What do I do with the Surge, the Galaxy, and Paris? How do I place them? All right, because that's gonna be the hardest thing to kind of navigate. But tune in on Tuesday for those power rankings to come out. Tomorrow on the Instagram, we got my notes from this past weekend. Don't forget to tune in those. But Locker Room, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think.